Another EMCO imposed on Lahad Datu Felda and 9 prisons. 8 men remanded, 7 days over Sungai Selangor pollution. And you're watching News at 10 with me, Brendan Lepol. The Health Ministry recorded 847 new COVID-19 positive cases, 486 new recoveries and 5 new deaths today. Health Director General Tan Sri Dr. Noor Hisham said 8,183 cases are currently active in the country. Elaborating further, he said only 5 out of 847 are imported cases, the rest are local transmissions. As of noon, there are 90 individuals receiving treatment in intensive care unit ICU, with 29 of them requiring ventilator support. Tan Sri Dr. Noor Hisham also said 6 new clusters were identified in the last 24 hours. 2 new clusters detected in Hulu Langat, namely Jambu Cluster and Bah Mutiara Cluster. The other clusters are Tirusa Cluster in Sabah and Sarawak, South Cluster in Sabah, Sofi Cluster in Negeri Sembilan, and Umbu Cluster in Melaka.
Kluster baru ini melibatkan daerah sandakan di negeri Sabah. Kes indeks bagi kluster ini iaitu kes ke 12,844 telah dikenal pasti positif COVID-19 hasil saringan individu bergejala pada 6 Oktober 2020 dan telah dimasukkan ke Hospital Duchess of Kent Sandakan. Saringan kontak rapat telah mengenal pasti 33 lagi kes positif COVID-19.
He added that currently the number of active COVID-19 clusters in the country stands at 99. The government will be implementing Enhanced Movement Control Order EMCO at Anjong Tedoh, located at Felda Sahabat Lahad Datu Sabah. Senior Minister Security Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri Yaakob today said the order, which will come into effect beginning 24 October until 6 November, is aimed at containing the spread of COVID-19. Elaborating further on the matter, Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri said a total of 544 unit of houses and 4,629 residents will be involved in the EMCO. The senior minister explained that all residents are required to comply with the stipulated SOP, which is similar to the prior EMCO.
Namun, ada sedikit kelanggaran yang kita berikan, iaitu kedai runcit di dalam perkampungan tersebut dibenarkan beroperasi daripada 6 pagi hingga 6 petang untuk penduduk membeli barang keperluan.
He added that the Health Ministry is also conducting targeted screening on residents in the area. EMCO will also be imposed on 5 prisons in Peninsula's northern zone and 4 in Selangor, as well as their staff quarters. Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri said the order is effective from today until the 4th of November.
Ianya melibatkan 5 penjara di zon utara dan 4 penjara di Selangor, iaitu kalau di zon utara, Pusat Koreksional Perlis, Penjara Sungai Petani, Penjara Taiping, Pusat Koreksional Kemunting dan Penjara Tapah. Ada 5. Manakala di Selangor, Penjara Reman Sungai Buloh, Penjara Kajang, Penjara Wanita Kajang, Penjara Koreksional Puncak Alam.
Meanwhile, the EMCO in 6 localities in Semporna and 1 locality in Kunak in Sabah, which was scheduled to end on the 24th of October, is extended to 6 November. According to Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri, the decision was made following risk evaluation conducted by the Health Ministry, which revealed that there are still COVID-19 cases spreading in the areas.
Pelanjutan tempoh ini diperlukan bagi tujuan membolehkan saringan kedua dilakukan oleh pihak KKM terhadap penduduk-penduduk di kawasan tersebut.
The senior minister explained that the sundry shops in the localities are also allowed to operate from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. The affected areas are Kampung Bangau-Bangau, Kampung Panji, Kampung Air, Kampung Selamat, Kampung Simunul, Kampung Pinggir Bakau in Semporna, and Kampung Pangkalan in Kunak. The Department of Statistics Malaysia expects the country's economy to continue its recovery trend based on the smooth growth rate of leading index LI. According to Chief Statistician Datuk Seri Dr. Muhammad Uzair Mahidin, the LI registered 108.5 points in August 2020 from 100.8 points in August 2019, maintaining an annual growth of 7.6%. However, the LI dropped to negative 0.5%, dragged by the number of new companies registered recorded negative 0.6%. Real imports of semiconductors read at negative 0.4%, and the number of housing units approved showed negative 0.1%. Meanwhile, he said coincident index CI, which measure the current economic performance, predicted a better year-on-year growth to register negative 2.3% in August 2020 from negative 2.4% in July 2020. Datuk Seri Dr. Muhammad Uzair said the current situation was supported by the performance of volume index of wholesale and retail trade, which depicted a sign of recovery to register 130 points with a growth of negative 2.4% year-on-year. In terms of labour force statistics, the number of employed persons improved 0.5% to 15.2 million persons, contributed mainly in the services sectors. However, he said the downside risks to growth remained amid the recent spike in COVID-19 cases. The Communications and Multimedia Ministry has launched a Creative Industry Advisory Panel to assist the creative industry stakeholders through seminars, training and advice. The panel comprises of Communications and Multimedia and Ethnic Research Institute officials as well as lawyers and experienced creative industry players. Speaking to reporters at the signing of the letter of intent for a research cooperation between the Ministry and UKM via video conferencing today, Minister Datuk Seri Saifuddin Abdullah said the panel is expected to increase awareness among artists about issues pertaining to the industry.
Menyediakan juga soalan-soalan lazim ataupun yang dipanggil frequently asked questions dan program-program untuk meningkatkan kesedaran penggiat seni dalam isu-isu hak cipta, kontrak, royalty, kebajikan penggiat seni dan juga misalnya dana-dana. Sebenarnya kita tidaklah kekeringan atau kekurangan dana, tetapi sebahagian penggiat seni kurang mengetahui di mana dana di bawah finans, di bawah bahagian-bahagian lain, di bawah My Creative Venture dan sebagainya yang harus yang wajar mereka pohon untuk projek-projek mereka.
Although the panel will start early next year, Datuk Seri Saifuddin said the panel hotline email nasihatkreatif@kkm.gov.my has been activated so that artists can voice out their issues. A joint raid by the Pulau Pinang Health Department, JKN, Ministry of Domestic Trade and Consumer Affairs, KPDN, HEP, and Pulau Pinang Islamic Religious Affairs Department at a soy sauce factory in Kuala Mengkuang today revealed various violations and forced its closure. JKN Food Safety and Quality Division Environmental Health Officer Muhammad Wazir Khalid said a complaint was received from KPDN HEP to do a factory hygiene check. He told reporters after the raid, a 19-member team uncovered major violations such as using residential premises to manufacture soy sauce, structurally unsafe building, insanitary food storage and soy sauce containers, moldy utensils, red droppings and mosquito larvae. The team also discovered that the Malaysian Islamic Development Department, JAKIM Halal logo and the food safety is the responsibility of industry certification logo were being used without approval.
Dapati dari segi penyimpanan bahan-bahan makanan dan juga tong-tong kicap yang tidak hygiene dan juga perkara yang kita ambil serius benda ni iaitu di mana terdapat logo halal dan juga logo mesti, di mana tanpa kebenaran daripada pihak berkuasa berkenaan lah, di mana kita dapati terdapat satu logo mesti, dan bila kita selidiki memang tak ada satu kelulusan daripada bahagian kawalan keselamatan kualiti makanan.
He said other violations included a failure to vaccinate workers against typhoid and faulty electrical wiring that could cause a short circuit. He said the premises was ordered to close a maximum 14 days under Section 11 of the Food Act 1983, Food Regulations 1985 and Food Hygiene Regulations 2009, and that 2 compound notices totaling 5,500 ringgit were issued. Another compound notice was issued by KPDN HGP for a violation of the trade descriptions, halal certification and marking, Order 2011, and legal actions will be taken. Muhammad Wazir said premises owners should maintain hygiene standards to protect consumers from peril. He said that although the majority of the Ministry of Health workforce was engaged in the fight against COVID-19, enforcement officers are continuing to carry out checks at premises to protect the health and safety of consumers. Coming up, scammer targeting senior citizens arrested over 450,000 ringgit in losses. Eight men, including a director of a company repairing and selling construction machinery, have been remanded for 7 days from today in connection with the pollution of raw water source in Sungai Selangor. The court issued the remand order following an application by the police to facilitate investigations. Those remanded were a 31-year-old company director and his 62-year-old father, as well as 6 employees comprising 2 locals and 4 foreigners. They are being held for investigations in accordance with Section 430 of the Penal Code for allegedly committing mischief by causing a diminution in the supply of water for agricultural purposes or for food or drink for human beings or for animals. The section provides for a jail term of between 5 and 30 years or a fine or both upon conviction. The 8 men were brought to the Selayang Courts complex at 9 a.m. today. They were arrested in Rawang at 11:30 a.m. yesterday. The pollution had caused the Rantau Panjang Water Treatment Plant LRA operations to be stopped and affected 1.196 million account holders. A 63-year-old woman who was tested positive for COVID-19 fell to her death from the 8th floor of the Queen Elizabeth I Hospital in Kota Kinabalu last night. District Police Chief ACP Habibi Manjinjid said the woman is believed to have fallen through the window of the hospital building at about 9:15 p.m. He said police received a report from the hospital at 9:30 p.m. Preliminary investigation found that the victim was admitted to the hospital on 13 October after she was confirmed COVID-19 positive. ACP Habibi, when contacted, said after receiving treatment, the victim recovered and was scheduled to be discharged from the hospital today. He said the victim's body was now at the forensic department of the hospital pending further investigations. A man and his daughter were killed after their car collided with a 4-wheel drive vehicle at kilometre 61, Jalan Jerangau, Jabo, when the driver tried to avoid a python crossing the road. Dungun District Police Chief Superintendent Baharudin Abdullah said the victim, identified as Muhammad Jenal, 61, and his daughter Mardia Muhammad, 26, from Felda Jerangau Barat Ajil in Hulu, Terengganu, were heading to Dungun. It is understood that the Proton Gen 2 car driven by Muhammad swerved into the opposite lane and collided with a Mitsubishi Triton driven by a man in his 50s. Baharudin, when contacted today, said due to the impact of the crash, both victims travelling the Proton Gen 2 died instantly. The driver of the Mitsubishi Triton meanwhile sustained light injuries and received treatment at a nearby clinic. Baharudin said the remains of both victims were taken to Dungun Hospital and the case was being investigated under Section 41 of the Road Transport Act 1987. A woman and her brother were charged in the Kajang Magistrates Court today with the murder of a blind husband at Kampong Baru, Sungai Chua earlier this month. GS Angela Devi, 45, and her brother GS Vijaya, 42, nodded to indicate they understood the charge read out by the court interpreter before Magistrate Muhammad Noor Firdaus Rosli. However, no plea was recorded from both of the accused. The duo were charged with the murder of R. Devaraju, 59, at a house at PKNS low-cost housing area in Kampong Baru, Sungai Chua on 1st October. The charge under Section 302 of the Penal Code provides for the mandatory death sentence upon conviction. Magistrate Muhammad Noor set 21st December for mention and no bail was allowed. Previously, it was reported that Angela had initially lodged a report over a robbery at their home. She said during the robbery, the victim was hit on the head with a hammer, which resulted in severe injuries. However, according to the police, the victim's wife and her younger brother had allegedly planned the victim's murder in order to inherit his assets. Meanwhile, in Ipoh, the Sessions Court fixed 11 and 12 January next year for the trial of former estate worker M. Sugu for allegedly possessing an offensive weapon. The court set the dates following rejection of the representation application made by the accused on the charge under Section 6, Subsection 1 of the Corrosive and Explosive Substances and Offensive Weapons Act 1958 for being in possession of a 66-centimeter long sickle. The husband of famous YouTuber S. Pavitra is alleged to have committed the offence at the parking lot of Raja Permaisuri Bainon Hospital on 21st July. The court also set 7 December for re-mention for the defence team to update on the document and second representation applications. On 17 September, the Ipoh Sessions Court had given a discharge not amounting to an acquittal to Sugu from another charge of assaulting his wife, Pavitra. The discharge was following oath-taking by Pavitra to withdraw the charge voluntarily without coercion and intimidation during the proceedings. The inquest proceedings to determine the cause of death of the Irish-French girl Nora N has entered its 13th day today. Seremban Coroner's Court was told that an email account used to send a ransom demand to Nora N Quarren's family had been deactivated. Police witness DSP Hazizi Abdul Samad, 42, from the Cybercrime Investigation Division, Commercial Crime Investigation Department, CCID, Bukit Aman, said that his task is to analyze the email header as it contains information on browser information and IP address on the sender. On 14 September, when he checked the email address, toskadacha@hotmail.com, it is found that the email account had been deactivated. The investigation also did not find the sender's real IP address, as the address was registered under Hotmail webmail service, which is owned by Microsoft Corporation. Hence, only Microsoft has the real address of the email and when it was created. Earlier, the 31st witness, Inspector Nur Adli Matsari, 36, from the Forensic Accounting Investigation Division in Bukit Aman, informed the court that the e-wallet number listed in the email amounting to 2 bitcoins was detected as that of a scammer. The police had deposited 100 ringgit on 13 August last year. An inspection of the e-wallet found that it was active on 12 and 13 August, with the suspect transferring the money into various other accounts to avoid detection. A scammer who targeted senior citizens using fake competitions to obtain their driver's license as well as credit and debit cards was arrested last Saturday. Selangor Commercial Crimes Investigation Department CCID Chief ACP Muhammad Yazid Muhammad Yu said around 46 reports have been made across Selangor on this scammer. He said losses are estimated to be around 456,542 and police believe that the suspect had been active since August. Police investigation showed that the scammer would single out his victims at supermarkets, brandishing fake name cards while introducing himself as a director of the supermarket. He would then inform the victims that they had just won a car and ask for their driver's license and debit or credit card for insurance purposes. Once he had convinced his victims, the suspect would make the victims follow him to a separate location before disappearing with their cards. The 41-year-old suspect was finally arrested in Port Klang on 17 October after police acted on information they gathered.
Semasa tangkapan turut dirampas bersama-sama suspek adalah 158 keping kad perniagaan tertera pelbagai nama pasaraya atas nama Desmond Lee dengan jawatan penuh sebagai pengarah urusan. 6 keping lesen memandu milik 6 individu berasingan yang dipercayai milik mangsa.
Also seized were 32 ATM cards and 10 credit cards. He said this in a press conference at a contingent headquarters in Shah Alam. ACP Mohammad Yazid said further checks showed that the suspect had a criminal record. The offence was under Section 302, which is murder, but he was sentenced under Section 304B for causing death without any intention to cause the death. The other was for intrusion. A top story, another EMCO imposes on Lahad Datu Felda and 9 prisons. Join us again at 12:30 tomorrow afternoon. Till then, I'm Brendan Lepal. Stay tuned to Saluran Berita RTM and have a pleasant evening.